Hello, welcome back to the channel. You're here with me, Alex, and several new faces. We're doing something a little bit different today. So this is another of our target locked episodes, which is our Drop First, Drop Zone, Drop Fleet Commander, Strike Team Commander, and Battle Zone Commander podcasts. I'm joined, as usual, by Gareth, as you can see. But we have two new faces as well. We've got Dan. Want to give us a wave, Dan?
Hello, hello. Also known as Dartsbane. Really excited to be here.
Yes, we are going to have to think of a code name for you because this brings us up to two Dans. And we also have Lawrence or Loz. Do you prefer Lawrence or Loz? I'm not actually sure.
Lots is easier for most people.
Loz is easier. Far less breath involved. Cool.
Less syllables.
I think we've had Dan on the channel once for a game of Dropzone Commander. And Loz has never been on the channel, but his Sheltari have appeared on it. And he is infamous in the local Dropzone scene as the man to beat. So, we're doing this online because it's more practical to try to get all of us in the same room. We're kind of giving the format a go. If this goes down well, we'll do more of it. If it doesn't work out very well, we'll do more face-to-face stuff, and so on. We should start from the top, which is that Dan and Loz are not just guests, and neither is Gareth actually, but all three of these lovely men are joining the channel as content creators, which is very exciting. And
yeah, really excited about that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'll give us a lot more variety of people to play with. It'll instantly give us a lot more armies to play with. Gareth, we've talked before, you live a stone's throw from where I do. Dan, you drive. Loz, you're happy to stick the train, so
yeah, all the modes of transport.
Yeah. If we go through actually briefly, Gareth, I mean, we've covered you in previous episodes, but of the Dropverse and sort of adjacent games, what do you play? What factions, and so
on? So the Drop Fleet, I suppose, is the easy one because I play all the factions except for Biofighters because it's the only one I haven't got.
Okay.
But my primary faction is probably Scourge for that system. For Drop Zone, I've got a sizable Shaltari army at this point now. And I'm probably going to be eyeing up a Scourge army, if I'm completely honest, at some stage.
Quite taken with them.
Yeah, I quite like the aesthetics of them as well, and it matches my playstyle a little more.
Yeah,
being a bit more sort of aggressive playstyle, but yeah. And then in terms of the adjacent games, I have played Rumble Slam. I probably have got a faction or a team or a stable somewhere, kicking around somewhere, and I'm probably going to dip my toe into Carnival at some stage.
Yes, we will bully you into playing it with us. Loz and Gareth, can you just turn your cameras back on? It seems to have stopped working on my end. There we go. Technical issues fixed. What were we talking about? So, Gareth, we're going to get you to play Carnival at some point with us as well. Should be good. Yes. I think you'll enjoy it. You've got the right mindset for it from the games I've played with you and seen you
play. Okay, cool.
Dan, what do you play in the various games we cover?
So, of the TT combat games, I'm heavily into Dropzone. So I've got a sizable PHR army and a good-sized UCM army for Zone. I've also got a Scourge army, relatively small, but I've played a few games with that. And I've picked up Scourge for Fleet as well. So a small Scourge fleet for Drop Fleet.
Nice.
I also play Patricians in Carnivale, who are in the process of being painted. I'm looking to my right because I can see the half-painted gang literally within arm's reach. So yeah, they're coming along, and they're going to be my project for the next few weeks.
Excellent. I think you're over halfway. You said last time I asked.
I've bought some more models since then.
Okay, you're less than halfway.
Moving the goalpost.
Have you got a playable gang yet?
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, I'm up about 182 cats.
Oh, yeah, you're fine then. So we can definitely have some games on the channel at some point soon. Yeah. And Loz, what do you play?
So the main faction is Sheltari. So that's Drop Fleet, Drop Zone. And I have a weird resistance list for Drop Zone, which is versus or a lot of infantry.
Yep.
And then the fish for Carnival.
The Rashar.
Yeah, the fish.
But the fish, yeah.
And that's it, really.
Exactly. Again, we've had your green Shaltari on the channel, I think a couple of times, but it'd be good to see the actual owner of them turn up and teach me how to play.
It will be.
And for completion's sake, if you're watching your first episode here, I am incredibly basic. I play UCM, and I play UCM in Dropfleet, Dropzone, and I've pledged for UCM in Strike Team and Battlezone and so on. I do have a small Scourge army for Zone, which is awaiting paint. Carnival, I've got a decent-sized Strigoi force and a to paint guild, Fisherman's Guild / Dock Workers gang, plus the Escape from San Canciano starter box. So I've got a range of things. My main role on the channel is that I'm the terrain guy. Same for the tournament we're going to talk about in a bit. That's what I do with my time, is I paint things for you guys to fight over most of the time. Speaking of, nice segue, I thought. Very professional of me, thank you. I ran a tournament, and that's what we're here to talk about. So we are at time recording a couple of days after Danger Close 4. Danger Close is the series of Dropzone Commander tournaments I've been running for. God, it's been a few years now, hasn't it? Started in 2023.
Yeah, it's been a few years.
Yeah.
Are you calling them tournaments now, or are they still events?
I chop and change depending on who I'm trying to convince to come. If it's a very sweaty player, I'm trying to get come to a tournament. Come to tournaments. If they say I don't want to go to a tournament, then I call it an event instead. But yeah, they've all had a similar format for the past 3 or 4 iterations, I think, which is it's a tournament structure. So you play 3 rounds. They are, in theory, kind of competitive scenarios, and there's an overall winner. You know, there are placements. There's a first, a second, a third. There's a wooden spoon, and so on. But the twist, if you like, is that I, with the help of Dan and Loz, have written a ridiculous number of completely homemade scenarios, and then done a complete set of terrain for each of those boards, or someone has provided a set of terrain for one of those boards. And yeah, this was its latest, largest iteration. So we had 14 missions, I think, in the end.
Yeah.
14 missions, 24 players. We had 2 spare tables. And again, every single one would be a completely bespoke scenario. So one would be fighting for control of a monorail filled with precious metals. And your next game, you're going to be fighting to control an orbital defense laser that you can fire at the enemy forces if you want. It was ambitious. Definitely a lot of work involved, but it's a good time, and I think it went down well.
From an outsider's perspective as well, I mean, it's a really unique selling point. I don't think I've ever been to a gaming competition before where every table and every mission was completely sort of bespoke and unique.
Okay.
But yeah, for me, that was a really interesting experience. I greatly enjoyed as well.
Nice, thank you. Yeah, I've been to, I think, one Titanicus event that did something similar. There were a few repeats, but it was maybe 5 missions across the 15 tables, so every third one would be different and so on, which kind of inspired this. But yeah, I think you're right, it's definitely a draw. It's something quite different. It's not competitive, not really. I don't think you can be that competitive with Dropzone. I don't know, would you guys agree with that? Or
You can try to be competitive, I guess.
I certainly didn't feel like there were any sort of real horrendous moments in any of the games I played where I thought, you know what, I'm just outclassed because of what I've chosen to bring to the table. I certainly didn't feel like that at all.
Okay, good.
I think part of that's the nature of Dropzone as well, with a combined arms approach to the game. You know, you don't min-max and just spam a particular option, and the variety of scenarios also makes it practically impossible to optimize like that.
Yeah.
which is definitely part of the intent. And again, I mean, Dan, Loz, you've both been going to my events since they started. Both done very well, I think. How many podiums do you have under your belt each?
We swap position a lot.
I think you've definitely both won a couple of them. I can't remember who's won which one, but you're both usually up there. Clearly, I need to make you fight each other round one next event to shake things up. But Gareth, you were going into your second, third, and fourth games of Dropzone.
Yes. Yeah, that was an interesting experience, but I don't feel like I embarrassed myself, which was good.
Did remarkably well, to be honest.
Yeah, three really good, varied games, 3 really good opponents. Yeah, really enjoyed it. It just, yeah, I mean, I think not to give too much away, but following round 1, where I ended up, I thought, right, well, here's the point now where it all comes tumbling right down. And I don't think I did quite as bad as I was expecting to, because I was totally convinced that wooden spoon was mine.
You were confidently telling me that it was your spoon and I was to look after it for you, which always happens.
I know, I was most upset, really. I got ideas well above my station after round 1, look, and then threw my wooden spoon away.
Oh, you fool. Yeah, every event I run, this happens. People go, I'm going to have that spoon. That spoon's mine. No one says I'm going to win this event. Or maybe lots, but most people don't. So, what did you guys bring? Who wants to go first?
Yep, I'll kick off. I bought my PHR. So we had a big mega game at the local club a few weeks ago, where Lawrence introduced me to just how scary large behemoths are.
Yep,
and I thought,
3 of them.
I want a piece of that. So bought myself a PHR large behemoth and had a week to paint it, and just about managed it. So yes, one of my lists was written around putting a big behemoth on the table. The other list, I thought, well, let's lean the other way, and bought as many infantry as you can squeeze in with PHR, which still isn't that many, but more than usual.
To point, actually, we did try copying over from Drop Fleet. We tried a 2-list system. So yeah, the players could submit 2 lists. Didn't have to, but they could submit 2 if they wanted. And then each round, after you saw what mission you were playing and what your opponent's 2 lists were, you picked which list you wanted to use. Both had to be from the same faction, but other than that, there were no limitations, which was an interesting experiment. I want to pick your brains on it later once we've gone through the rest. But yeah, you did get your behemoth done somehow in a week, and it looked fantastic. Looked really intimidating as well. I think it had the biggest footprint of all of the behemoths present. There were quite a few.
Yeah, I haven't.
Both of us saw the business end of it.
Say again, sir?
I think you and I both saw the business end of it as well.
Yes, we both had the pleasure of playing against the Tethys, which we'll cover in a second. Sorry, Dan, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say I hadn't really appreciated how big it was until I physically started painting the thing, and then literally ran out of red paint and had to go out. And I've just had another delivery of red paint today to top up my paint supplies. It's just massive, but yeah, really nice kit.
Yeah, there is a slideshow going around. I'm not going to touch it unless I break it because I don't really know what I'm doing with OBS. But you will see as we're talking, you'll see Dan's Tethys and his army pop up. It's pretty hard to miss because it's a giant red 5-legged monster with a leg span of 8 inches or something, I think.
Yeah, thereabouts.
Yeah. Loz, what did you bring?
Very similar to Dan, I brought two very different lists. One focused on infantry and a famous commander that was all my firstborn to be even more gross and rapid than Sir. And then behemoths, and I pushed even further and took 2, because why not?
Yeah, you did.
And it works quite well.
Was it a celestial dragon and a lion in your list?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Absolutely horrifying.
It went well. It was, yeah.
Where
I feel bad.
It's still kind of a tournament. You're there to try and win. Your behemoth project was also ambitious, whereas Dan went wide, you went tall.
Hmm.
I don't think I actually have a picture of it, but I will find one and make sure I put one here when I edit this. But do you want to describe what this particular madness was?
If you imagine King Kong, replace it with the dragon climbing a large skyscraper. That's what I was going for. It's a long way from finished, but it's getting there.
It turned heads as people walked past the Dropzone table. And Dropzone always does. Dropzone is an incredibly pretty game. But when people saw that and went, wait, are you playing with that?
It's not the most practical thing to play with, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll absolutely get it on the channel because it looks fantastic and horrifying.
Thank you.
Very cool work. And your other list you said is it Akenton? Akenton the Mads?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I call him the Mad. Yeah, and 6 firstborn. So he gives them all rapid insertion and allows me to just vanish anything I want once a game, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I've played against him before. My first outing with my Dominion, Loz just said, no, you can get rid of that. That and my 15-point spirit disappear.
Yeah.
How many points it costs. Very upsetting.
Oh wow, that's nasty.
Yeah. Gareth, what did you bring?
I too had a Shaltari force, so I had 2 very, very different armies. So one of them was focused a lot on anti-air and board control, and my second list was more focused around damage output, I guess, was probably the best way to describe it. So a lot of anti-tank, anti-behemoth, and a behemoth in there as well. So I had a lion in my list. Annoyingly, I wanted a pair, but I couldn't get my hands on the second one to paint it in time, which was quite frustrating. But I think I had 3 units of 4 Ronin in there. 4 units of 3, I should say. A couple of tarantulas, a couple of Adam gun gates.
I've been watching the discussion in our Discord where Gareth will ask, "What's good for Shaltari?" and then Loz will then tell him, and then Gareth will then buy 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah. I've only got 1 War Spear. War Spears are good. I'll have 4, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember Loz saying when we revealed all the lists for the event, saying, "I've created a monster. What have I done?" So obviously we're going to have to see how you two play against each other at the tournament in a battle report at some point.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Shaltari off.
Yes. Yeah, that sounds horrific. That sounds like a very 4D chess game. And I'll be
just
there
jumping
as
all over
the
the board.
UCM player with the camera going, I don't really know what's going on. I don't really understand what they're talking about.
They keep teleporting around the board. And
Yeah. I also got to play, which is a novelty. I played in my very first Dropzone event and then didn't play in any of the other ones. I've always been the tournament organizer and spare player if needed. But in this case, we were 23 players, so I stepped into the ring as well with a sensible list and a silly list. Because I thought it would be very gauche to win my own tournament. That's why I'm not going to try to write a sensible list, honest. It's definitely the reason. So, my first list was pretty by the numbers for UCM, with an exception. So it was the usual 2 albatrosses, rapiers, sabres, katanas, broadsword, gladius, the usual armoured fist. Legionnaires support. I think I had a small number of spec ops in, and I brought along a Brazil because I knew there were going to be lots and lots of behemoths present. Even more than I thought, actually, in the end. The Brazil is the anti-armor light behemoth. I had intended to get the America painted in time, but I ended up deep in the terrain mines for what felt like months in the lead up to the event. So that didn't happen, so it had to be a Brazil. But then my second list, in the recent balance pass, a lot of the buggies for UCM got a little bit of a shot in the arm. So I decided to run Terence Agu, however it's pronounced, the buggy famous commander, 4 cannon polecats, 4 minigun polecats, 2 jackals, no tanks, some spec ops, some flak teams, some other infantry, and an India in this really not very sensible list. It did better than I thought it would, which is good. But it is not. I think buggies have a place. I don't think an all buggy list is a good idea because they just die.
Mm.
But it was fun getting to actually play in an event as well. And I didn't get any hobby done because, well, I did, but I was painting all the terrain for the event. That's not true. I should point out, while the missions were a team effort between me, Loz, and Dan. So again, thank you guys for helping with that because I definitely needed a proofreader. And then tables, Dan, you provided a table all on your own. We had one provided by Charles. We had a couple of guys at Firestorm. Jake and Morgan and Paul put their heads together, came up with some scenarios and provided the terrain as well. So thank you to you guys if you're watching. So it really was a team effort. It wasn't all me. Shall we run through how our first games went? So, any volunteers to go first? Tell us about one of your games.
Okay, so I played a lovely chap called Josh Taylor in game 1. He was bringing PHR as well, so we both knew what each other's things did. And we were playing Hidden Battery, which is a almost hourglass-shaped table with big rocky formations pinching in the middle of the board, and fighting over 3 bunkers in the middle. And I decided to bring my infantry list for this one because all the objectives were only claimable by infantry. Unfortunately, he only had 1 list and only had 8 stands of infantry. So I was able to kind of headhunt his flame units and then take out his infantry for a fairly convincing win. It did cost me the ground war. His heavy units marched up, and while mine were shooting his flame units, his heavy units shot mine. But by the time they were wiped out, I'd got rid of all of his flame, got rid of all of his infantry, and there was nothing else he could do in the game. But lovely chap. I think he might be quite new to Dropzone, but hopefully he enjoyed it. And yeah, I think look forward to playing him again in a future tournament. It was a really fun game.
Yeah, I believe Josh is fairly new, and he did actually mention I think you were a very sporting player, which is always nice to hear.
Oh, that's good.
So did the list do what you were hoping it would do then?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I was able to get out into the objectives. The Valkyries, a couple of balance passes ago there, close quarter battle potency got knocked back a notch. But just the mobility they bring to the table is so valuable. Being able to get places under their own steam, you can't reaction fire against them. The fact they can move after they leave the garrisons, they were able to hop from one of the centre line objectives up to the next and reinforce wherever was needed. That worked really well. Sirens won a close quarter battle fight against Immortals, because that's what Sirens are there to do. And the other star players were my 2 Athenas, which were quite key in hunting down some of his evasive flame that was hiding at the back. So they zipped over and put some stealth cruise missiles into them and shot down the Triton that had Josh's Sirens in.
Oh dear. Which I assume meant they did not contribute to the game after that.
No, after they'd shot the Triton down, they then shot the Sirens before flying off.
Yes, which they can't dodge, obviously.
Yes. That ended badly for the Sirens.
Yeah. So decisive win for you?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, Josh got one of his hidden mobile objectives off. There's nothing I could do to stop that, but I was able to dominate the centre and get that locked down. He did have the big scary Scorpion, which gradually stomped its way up the middle, and that's kind of what was applying pressure. But by the time it got into the thick of the fight, I'd already got the objective secured. So yeah, list worked as hoped.
Nice. Gareth, what was your game one?
So I played a chap called Chris Sprules, I believe. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, Chris, if you're watching. And he had a Scourgist. It's actually the Scourgist that was literally on the screen just before that PHR list flagged.
Okay.
And we played the mission with the bridge over the river, and it was a bit of a mixture of things. All the luck went my way, and seemed to abandon him. His dice just didn't play ball with him, and I'm picking up 5 dice to make passive saves and rolling 4 6s. It didn't really go his way. But I think if I was to pick sort of key units at my Panther, where you had no terrain in the center of the board, the Panther was able to line up unlimited range shots pretty easily and pick flies out as they were coming across. My Lion was able to kind of control the bridge. He had a few sort of blobs of skimmers, but template weapon was making short work of the skimmers as well. So I think he had a bit of a hard time getting the ground control.
Right.
We had a bit more of a contest over the 2 mobile objectives in the towers in each corner. So I managed to get 6 Ronin into each of those buildings from turn 2. But he had, I think, Demolishers, Scourge Demolishers.
Yeah, the very heavy infantry with a 4-up passive.
They just don't die.
No. You can drop a building
I was
on them.
most disgruntled.
You can drop a building on them, you'll just annoy them. You won't kill
Yeah,
them, you'll just make them angry.
Yeah, because I have briefly read through stats of other factions other than my own, and I'm looking at Ronin thinking, God, these are monsters. And then when they turned up, I was like, oh, my Ronin did nothing good.
Oh. Nice. So, a good win for you, I think, then?
It was a pretty solid win, so I think the end result was 10-2. But again, it was a combination of rotten luck for him and unfortunate, fantastic luck for me.
Yeah.
But he was a real top player, a real nice gent.
Nice. And yeah, that's his blue Scourge. They're on the screen now, I think.
That's it.
Yeah, and close up with them as well. Loz, what were you up to for game one?
I had my first game against a Tim, PHR, on Military Complex, I think. So that's a central building with a 3-pointer and then 4 ground objectives. They only had 1 list, so I was like, you can pick which one you want to fight, the behemoth or the infantry. They chose the infantry, which may have been the mistake, because that was 6 firstborn fighting over that middle objective against mainly only legionnaires.
Oh dear.
Immortals, yeah.
Yeah.
So that didn't go well for him, and then they had a block of PHR walkers all dropping on 1 objective, which I was able to just pick off the other ones throughout the game. But yeah, no, it was a good win for me. 0-7, but it was a lot of fun.
Good. For both of you?
I think so. I hope they had fun. I always worry when it's a win like that, but they seemed like they enjoyed it. Oh, it's a PHR just there as well.
Oh, the blue and white ones.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they were.
They'll come back around again. Yeah. What did I do for game one? I was up against the America. So we saw, as we were looking at lists the night before and a couple of days before, every single behemoth hull, or behemoth model if you like, was in attendance except for the Scourge light one. So coming up against heavy behemoths was actually reasonably likely. And my first opponent was a chap called Matt, who had brought along an America and whatever else he could squeeze in next to it. No, that's not quite fair. But he had 2 drone bases, which is something I've not seen before. One of which was level 6. But then the rest of the list was 2 mirrored detachments of sabers and rapiers in condors, some legionnaires in bears in a condor, and the America. It was not a complicated list, but that America was intimidating, to put it mildly. And I was playing Reversal. Reversal is one of these scenarios that we've actually taken a fairly light touch to when we wrote it. It was originally in one of the Reconquest books. We both just tidied up the wording, where you have a garrison in the middle with a hidden mobile objective, and then 4 other objectives in sort of dog legs. It kind of goes like that. Which again, hidden mobile objectives. The twist, if you like, is that the one in the middle is a nuclear warhead. We have played this on the channel once, I believe. The goal of the nuke is to find it and then get it off your opponent's board edge. If you do, you get 4 victory points, which is obviously going to... Your opponent has to get the other 4 to be... Well, it's very likely to be a win if you can do that. However, if at any point the nuke is destroyed, like any other objective being destroyed, it goes off, and everything within 2d6 inches of the nuke is removed. Whether that's a behemoth, a building, a transport carrying your entire army, it's gone. And then it crash lands, or if it's a building, it collapses, causes further cascading damage. Which was interesting. Matt, I think, again, he only had the one list, so I decided to bring my Terrence list with all the buggies. I thought, I'm not going to give you something big to shoot at, other than the India, which I'm not that fussed about. It ended up being a very, very cagey game. I felt a little bit bad for him, because he very rarely got to actually shoot the America at what he wanted to shoot it at. I think he managed to utterly obliterate a Jackal, miss a couple of shots, and fail to damage with a couple of others, which is upsetting for a model with so few shots. And I think probably what lost him the game was a lack of infantry. He just had Legionnaires. He put Legionnaires into the middle building with the nuke. He found the nuke for me, so I sent him my Spec Ops to go get it off him.
It's kind of him.
Yeah. It almost worked out for him, because he found the objective with his Legionnaires. I sent him the Spec Ops, and he played Tactical Withdrawal, allowing a squad to leave the garrison, and an enemy squad enters the garrison. But there's no transport nearby, because I'd been murdering the bears parked outside, so it was just Legionnaires stood in the street, holding a nuke. So my Spec Ops went to the wall and shot them, which left the nuke in the street, with no one claiming it. And I think around round 4, maybe, I had a chance to get in and grab it. I had a polecat ready to zip up, pick up the objective, and then be picked up by a Raven, which I did. And then realised his anti-air hadn't activated yet. So the anti-air shot down the Raven, the nuke exploded, 9-inch blast radius, I lost the Behemoth, we lost, I think, 2 garrisons, I lost my Eagle, I think he lost half his tank column in the process. We just basically took most of the terrain off the board and all the models around it. It was very funny, but I think I narrowly came off better in the trade than he did. I was able to get another objective off as well. So I think it ended up being about a 4-2 win to me, something like that. Very funny game, very silly. Matt was a lovely player. He took it like a champ when the American missed with its one-shot Energy 13, Devastator 5, everything weapon. Yeah, good game. Would happily play him again. I still don't know what you do about the America, though. I think you just ignore it and hope it goes away. So that was game 1, with all 4 of us coming out with wins, which was definitely more than some of us were expecting. Lunch was Best Painted Army, or Best Army and Best Model. So I ran 2 or 3 painting competitions. Best Army, for whatever reason, it could be the best paint scheme, it could be the best execution of the colour scheme, it could be the best conversions, whatever, it's up to you. And Best Single Model as well. Because some people have a single centerpiece they're really proud of, not necessarily the whole army up to the same standards. I would say the hobby standard was the highest it's been so far for our events. Yeah, there were loads of absolutely gorgeous armies, lots of behemoths, which make fantastic centerpieces. It was very cool to see some of them in the flesh we've not seen before. It's just gone by. On screen, you can see Gareth's army, which you got some of it secondhand, but you painted a good chunk of it yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, so about 50% of that army now is something that I've painted and matched to the person's paint scheme as best I could, which made me feel less bad about fielding it.
I mean, what you've painted matches what you bought, so you've definitely achieved that,
Mm.
and it looks fantastic. It's a really nice, vibrant blue color scheme.
I mean, the nice part of it for me is it's not necessarily a faction or a color scheme I'd have picked.
Okay.
So it was quite interesting to get me out of my usual sort of mindset for hobby, which was interesting enough for me. But yeah, I quite enjoyed putting that together so far. I've got a few more additions I want to put in, but watch this space.
Nice. I think sorry, Loz, we're lacking a picture of you. We can see your army in the
Oh,
background
it's just
there.
there.
Yeah, we can see the
In the
dragon
back.
tower. That's obviously Dan's with the fantastic, horrifying Tethys. This was a lovely army. This ended up getting Judge's Choice because I got to pick my favourite because I'm a TO. It's absolutely fantastic resistance army by Howell, I think is how his name's pronounced.
Mm.
So a lot of infantry in that army as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a really nice army.
yeah, really talented. This was spectacular. This is Morgan's Behemoth, very heavily converted. Again, I'm not going to risk trying to pause the slideshow, but yeah, really, really high hobby standard. Great to see. And I think even the people who aren't necessarily that into painting had made an effort. I didn't see any bare plastic or any bare res or anything like that. So yeah, really nice.
And there's Jake's Shaltari.
Yes.
Mm.
Again, really nice work. Heavily converted. You can see a lot of the walkers have more legs than normal, and again they'll come around again.
I do
think a lot
have
of-
widow envy.
Yeah.
Mm.
You see the energy effects on those Shaltari gates.
Oh, with the the blue energy effects.
Yeah, the crackling lightning around the teleportation gates. Lovely.
Yeah,
Really nice
I
work.
quite the gold crackles down the green sort of panels on the fins as well.
Wow.
Yeah. I will, when I'm editing this, I'll try and make sure we have some photos that are not going by quite so
Yeah.
fast. But yeah, everyone voted for their army, for their favourite army, favourite model, and we went into round 2. So I think Gareth and Dan will come back to you in a second. Loz, who are you up against and where?
My second Tim of the day,
I see.
and this was the new monorail mission, Precious Metals,
Precious metals.
which was interesting. Yeah, and being a ground objective game, I thought, okay, bring the behemoths out, which was a bit of a mistake.
Really?
Going into 2 flying artillery pieces, the Scourge wanted to devastate a 4
Slaughterer?
behemoths. Yeah, I think so.
Barge? Yeah.
Slaughter Ordnance Barge.
And he pretty much had no ground targets for the behemoths to shoot, so their job was to stand on objectives, which worked. They managed to do that. I got 4-2. They got an infantry objective off after I destroyed the building. Their giant apes managed to survive the destruction and walk off the board still, while being chased by a lion.
Again, it just annoys them. It doesn't kill them. It just annoys
Yeah, no,
them.
they just got angry at me.
Yeah.
But it was probably my closest game of the day. But it was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tim's another club member, been to all of my events. Lovely guy. And we've had his Scourge on the channel
definitely.
before. I've piloted them a couple of times. Although they're on screen now, and they're gone again. But yeah, I think he was also... Did he experiment with the infesting worms at all?
Had it once, just cleared me out of my objective building. I only had Braves though, and he managed to kill all of my transports, so half my army couldn't come on anyway.
Oh! Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It was just the behemoths that managed to hold on for me.
I didn't realise it was that close. Fair enough. That's
Yeah.
impressive. Nice. Yeah, again, Dan and Gareth will get to you in a second. My second game was against a buddy of mine, Adam. Adam's someone I've known for years. Like, we were in college together, and then a couple of years ago discovered, after not talking for like a decade, that he plays Dropzone, and he came to the last Danger Close. He actually won it with his beautiful color shift PHR army. He won both best painted and first place, so racking up the awards. But yeah, despite having known him for like a third of my life, never got to play him before, so that was really nice. And we got to play on the new version of Lock On, which has giant orbital defense laser in the middle, and satellite dishes around it. The goal is to control the dishes and then control the laser, point the laser at the enemy fleet and score points. But if you want, you can point the laser at the ground and shoot the opponent's models, which kills them extremely reliably. Really nice game. Fantastic opponent. Adam was absolute delight to play against. I again took the same list, so took Terrence and company, and had 4 utterly fearless polecats staring down a pair of scorpions. They died, but they did get in the way for long enough to hold them up for a bit. The game could have gone either way. We were very much jockeying for position. Until he managed to pop my India that I drop harness basically directly in front of him in the way. And he killed it, and I rolled a 1 on the destruction table. So, much like a nuke, you then roll another dice, roll d6. Everything within that many inches is destroyed. So there went 1 scorpion, and most of my army and most of his. But it happened to mean that because I think his infantry were out of position, I managed to get to the laser control room and fire the laser at the other scorpion, which killed it dead. By that point, he didn't have much in the way of infantry left. I was able to mop up, control the battlefield, and again, it was a close win. I can't remember by how many points, but it wasn't more than about 2 or 3. Really fun game, very fun, very silly scenario. Like, you couldn't run this scenario at a competitive event, but firing a laser that is this long is entertaining.
According to New Recruit, you won that one 3-2.
3-2. Oh, okay, that was even closer than I thought. Oh. Thank you for checking, by the way. Game 2 for Gareth and Dan.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so it was a learning curve for both of us, I think, wasn't it? Because wasn't it the first time you used that behemoth?
It was, yes. So we were playing Albatross Down, which is one of the new scenarios for this Danger Close 4. So yeah, kind of scrapping over some objectives in forests in the centre of the board. But the twist was that the objectives were black boxes that were indestructible. So if you burnt the forest down, you could search what was left with any tanks that happened to be passing by and claim the objectives that way. So I thought, yes, let's roll out the big guns and rocked up with the behemoth list.
Yeah, which was absolutely mortifying. But, well, I mean, I learned a few pretty valuable lessons this game. One, don't stand in a forest when there's 6 models with flamethrowers. Round said forest. So I think at one point there was something utterly ridiculous, like 26 collateral damage markers on that.
Yes, I set fire to that forest.
It was on
the game plan was burn it down, find the objectives from the ashes.
And the 3 Ronin inside were most disgruntled at that.
Yep. Oh, and then you had your behemoth as well, but fortunately the nice low-lying forests weren't tall enough to block line of sight between 2 opposing behemoths.
Yeah, very sadly. Mine was most certainly not going to win that joust.
Yeah, like behemoths are pretty fearsome, but it's a step up to a heavy, isn't it?
Oh, it certainly is, yeah. And then similarly to Alex's experience, when my light behemoth died, it decided to take a street block with it. So removed most of the forests from the centre of the board. I think we had one of the mobile objectives in one of the condors. I think we both had committed a fair amount of weight of units to that, and they just vanished without trace, which was sublime.
I do remember Dan
But,
coming over and saying, "Alex, the mission says they're indestructible. Does that include if a behemoth melts down on top of it?" Which answer was
yeah,
yes.
and I can't repeat my response, but
No, family-friendly channel, you can't.
Yeah, there was almost a dinner plate-sized empty patch of table once that had gone up.
yeah, that was quite entertaining though. Yeah, because I actually had no idea that they did that, so I obviously skirted that part of the rules
I
when
see.
I was trying to learn how to play the game.
Well, now you know.
Yeah. I think your Valkyries did particularly well in that mission as well, because, well, I was trying to chase them, which was the other mistake, one of the other mistakes I made.
Yeah, my Valkyries were able to hop over, and I think one of your home objectives, because there were the 4 open objectives on the ground, they were able to go, oh, we'll nip into there and tag that objective. And then you sent in a bunch of troops to flush them out, and they went, oh, we'll relocate to this other garrison.
Yeah.
Playing catch me if you can with Valkyries is a losing proposition.
Absolutely. And they were taking chunks out of my Adama gun gate as well, from what I remember, using was it reduced?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah,
That
they were irritating. I mean, they pretty much tied a flank up on their own.
Yeah,
which was
vulnerability. Yeah, one of the compromises that I made to fit the behemoth in was that I had no actual real anti-air. So the Adama gun gate's only threat was from my infantry using reduced. But I had a good go at it.
Yeah, I think that the gun gates and my frost rake did reasonably well at sort of picking out armored targets, but then as soon as that behemoth landed, that was game over, I think. I at one point I thought about having a go at it because I had quite a lot of gravity weaponry, but then I thought if I'm firing everything at that, I'm not paying any attention to the 3 objectives in the center of the board, so that's probably a mistake. But yeah, really good game. Really enjoyed. I probably learned quite a lot from that particular game, as opposed to all the others I played through the day. I picked up a couple of tips and tricks, I think, for list building.
Nice.
I think we'll see. Like using fire. Yeah, definitely want more of that.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a really good game. I think you probably did have the firepower to bring down the Tethys, but I also think you were right. I think if you diverted all the firepower into that, by the time it had gone down, I'd have had it away with the 3 mobile objectives.
Yeah, I think that scoreline might have been a bit more sheer.
Yeah, I was able to get a win. I think it was 5-3 on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, 5-3.
Again, reasonably close game then.
Yeah, reasonably close game.
Yeah. And it was round 3. So where should we start? Loz, who was your game 3 against?
I was against Charles with Shaltari, and like we said earlier, Shaltari versus Shaltari is 3D chess. It was a game. I knew he would be taking his grav list, so the behemoths of Val, not going to fight 6 transfers with behemoths.
Yeah, he'd built a list to kill a behemoth, hadn't he? One of his lists.
Mm-hmm. So it was my infantry list against 4 Widowmakers and a load of a flame. So it was just him swatting infantry for the whole game and me just putting some more in and putting some more in as 2 little gunships tried to pick off his flame. It's pretty much all I had. It was just tiny little bits of aircraft picking off flamers because my ground is non-existent in that list really. But
what mission you
managed to. This was a reversal.
Ah, right.
It was all infantry objectives, and he just had Pungurai, which he was leaving off until the end to try to sneak one in. But I managed to control all 5 buildings by the end, managing to pick off all the flame as well, and vanished some of his war spears for good measure. Which is always fun.
Good. So it's another win then?
Yeah, another win, 5-0 to me.
Nice. Undefeated.
Yeah, it was it looked hairy in that middle game, and I was worried going into seeing all that flame. I don't know how I managed it, but I managed to pick them off and survived.
Nice. Gareth, what was your game 3? Who was your game 3 against, Stephen?
So my game 3 was against Tim, and it was on the table. It's on the screen, or just left screen. It was the military bunker in the center of the table. But it was against Tim's Scourge, so the same list that Dan had played against in game 2. And it was a very, very different experience of a Scourge list compared to the first one, the first game I played, because he had 2 of those ordnance barges, which are just grotesque. So I think we pretty much had the same idea going into it, and in that we not ignored the flanks, but everything was sort of filed up in the center to sort of drive at the building so that the opponent can't see you on the approach. I used my 12 rollings. Is it tough? The rule where you don't need a door, you just charge headlong through the wall. So the mission is you could only access the central building through runways on the either side of the building.
Yeah, the runways or the outer buildings. You then had to move from the outer buildings to the inner one.
Yeah. I think in that game, I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say he had 2 stands of warriors that didn't go into that building. Otherwise, every stand of infantry that either of us had went into that building and just had a fight for the entire game, which was just something else. And you also having to contend with the fact he's setting it on fire and just burning things out. He's filling it full of worms who are just coming in and infesting constantly. So my 12 rolling had to call in their 7 squads of Pungari reinforcements, which obviously didn't stand up.
No.
But yeah, it was no, absolutely not. But I mean, we had 2 of the open static objectives apiece, and I just managed to sort of crowbar a third, and then completely forgot that he could take it back. And he eventually won the fight in the center of the board with the only surviving infantry standing. There was 1 unit of Scourge warriors. And what's the card where you can move to another building within 12? Is it hidden tunnels?
Yeah, underground passage, I think. People call it secret tunnel.
Underground passage. Yeah, so he hidden passaged out into a bunker, and in doing so also tagged one of the objectives I've just left unguarded,
Right.
which turned the game around. So last minute sneaky play was a 3-2 win to Tim. But that was another really good game. We also had another exploding behemoth, so he destroyed my lion, which had made it to his side of the table, which wasn't so bad for me, but it didn't really have too much bearing on the game. It was just impressive to see, another city block worth of terrain and military forces just go missing, which was quite amusing. But yeah, it was a really solid, good game. But yeah, it was just everything was centered around that scrum in the middle, and it was just one horrible slugfest after another.
Nice. So
Yeah.
you came away, was that 1-2 or 2-1? Sorry.
It was 3-2 to Tim.
As in your overall score?
Oh, so 1 win, 2 losses for me.
1 win, 2 losses. It's pretty good for your first ever event, and second,
Yeah,
third,
I
fourth
wasn't happy.
games.
Wasn't unhappy with that at all, and I don't feel like I got an absolute spanking anyway, which was all an upside for me.
Good.
And I probably finished about 12 places higher than I thought I was going to. So
Nice. And then Dan, you had me for round 3.
Indeed, yes.
Yes,
Playing precious metals, so more fun with monorails.
indeed. Where should we start?
So I think it would have been better for me to bring my infantry list, but at this stage in the day, my brain was starting to turn to mush. So I was like, I'm going to stick with the list I last ran. I'm going to bring out the behemoth again.
Yeah.
Which turned out to be a lot of fun. I'm still not convinced it was the best list for the matchup, but yeah, I got to stomp up a 6-lane motorway with a behemoth, which was pretty cinematic looking.
Which barely fit on the motorway. I was also quite tired by this point. Turns out running the tournament and playing in it at the same time takes more than both put together, I think. So I could have switched lists. Maybe I should have switched lists. I didn't. I decided I'm going to play the same list again. I'll play Terrence. And again, Terrence allows you to do all these really clever 4D chess things where you can look at the top 2 cards of your deck, and then you can put them on top or bottom of your deck. So you make sure you get the cards you want. And whenever you play a command card, his own card lets you put a token on his card and then spend that token to reroll any dice, even things like initiative. So you're really, if you're playing sensibly and thinking about your influence range, and cycling your cards and using them properly, you can get some real mileage out of that. I didn't do that. I was not firing on all cylinders. I think I woke up around round 3 after some really quite silly mistakes with positioning being all over the place. I said to Dan, "Where's your anti-air?" And Dan said, "I don't have any other than reduced," with a smile. Okay, I thought, Dan doesn't have any anti-air. And then, of course, the Valkyries shot a fully laden vulture out the sky with reduce about 10 minutes later, meaning that my 180 points of Spec Ops got stranded where they weren't supposed to be. Yeah, wasn't the best I've ever played. Again, for the first couple of rounds. Around round 3, I think again I started to pay attention a bit more. But at that point, Dan had managed to get his objective, his hidden mobile objective, off the board. I got mine off the board. That was kind of a given. Eventually, they had to walk, but they did get off the board. But I just didn't have any armor really to contest the open static objectives. And that Tethys doesn't die.
The Dominion had a good crack at it, though.
Gave it a good go. It
came in and whoop, here's 15 damage to your behemoth in one shot.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
All of its legs.
Yes, I decided to go. I thought I'm not going to kill this thing, so I'll try and leg it instead, so it can't walk anywhere useful and get onto an objective. Which kind of worked. It dropped down to movement 2, I think.
It was movement 0 at one point.
It was movement 0 at one point.
Yeah.
But
it got better.
It got better because it could spend an action to heal 3 damage points, including fixing a broken location.
Oh.
So its legs grew back, and it went back to 2-inch move, and then it walked forwards and grew back another leg and walked forward 4 inches. I think brought down the train in the middle of the board, thinking maybe I can try and hold that flank, but no, Dan played very well, redeployed some forces over there to grab the objective off me, murdered my buggies, which made sense really.
I think the buggies did well, but yeah, they don't quite have the beef to stand up to a prolonged ground war.
I think they make an excellent flanking force, and I will definitely be using them more, but they can't be the core of your armor because they die.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the end, I think the score was it 6-2 to you?
Yes.
Yeah. So quite a decisive win for Dan. But all told, I had a good game. Did you enjoy it?
I did. Yeah, really enjoyed that one. And again, the behemoth getting to do its thing and just soaking up absolute shed loads of damage and keeping on trucking.
Yes.
Didn't get to use the flamers, so neither in Gareth's game nor the game against you did I get to fly those 2 epically large flamers, and I was really looking forward to setting some infantry on fire with those.
Yeah, that's why
Everything else was already on fire in our game.
Well, yeah.
It was unnecessary.
Whereas I think I'd asked what the threat range of those flamers was, and then deliberately stayed out of them. But then because I did, I didn't get my infantry anywhere useful, and so they did their job without firing a shot, really.
Yeah. I think the unit that did the most for me in that game was probably those 2 humble Mercury scout drones, though.
Yes.
because you were very close to bringing down my objective building on my head before I found the objective, and it's just like, I will burn 2 scan tokens for 20 points
Yeah.
to guarantee finding that objective. Thank you very much.
Because a natural one for a search roll is not an automatic fail. So, I mean,
Indeed.
you have was it you had 2 Junos, your 2 Mercuries, that's 4 scan tokens.
Yep.
Finding on a 5, finding on a 1.
Yep.
No, I think you're right. Those are fantastic. What, you say they're 10 points each? 20 points each?
10 points each, 20 points for the squad, 35 if you include the transport.
You can find 35 points in any list, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they were really good for you.
And then they hung around, spotting for my indirect. They projected influence range.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really, really nice.
I think in a similar vein, I think my game against Tim, probably my best unit in that game was a unit of Tates, because they just allowed things to stay alive far beyond any sort of reasonable, logical amount of time that they should have stayed alive. And then Tim sort of got wise to it and decided that he was going to come find them with some rather beefy-looking Scourge stuff and just murdered them. But yeah, I found, again, for projecting things like your influence range and just generally keeping things alive, 40 points is just worth every one.
Yeah, and Tates are incredibly small. I mean, you could hide a Tate behind a park bench. I think they're that tiny.
Yeah, I had them hidden in the where you've got the outer buildings with the military complexes. I had them hidden in the little nooks and crannies around the building.
Nice. So yeah, that was all of our games. Placings, I don't recall. Gareth, do you remember what your placing was? Or Dan, if you got the placings there, actually.
I
Do
think
that
it was either 12th or 13th.
14th, I'm afraid.
Oh, oh, there we go. There's 14 places higher than I thought I was going to end, so I'll take that.
Nice. I think I was next.
Yeah, you were in 6th with 2 wins and 1 loss.
Nice.
And then we had 4 players who got 3 wins each. So it came down to tiebreakers. And then it came down to second tiebreakers.
Yeah, I mean, we had in 4th place we had Matt, not the Matt I played, but another Bristol chap running his Resistance. 3rd place was Jake, I want to say.
Jake?
Yeah. With his Sheltari. 2nd place went to Loz. As he said, it came down to the final tiebreaker, which I think was just total victory points for. I don't know what else to put here. We need something. Was it 16 victory points across the day?
16 first 20. So yeah, there was four victory points in it.
With Dan coming first. So well done, golf clap. Yeah, that is. Is that your second event that you've won?
I think it's the second one I've won, yeah.
That's...
But yeah, it was a really fun day. I got confused by new recruit and was looking at the wrong rankings and thought I'd finished 4th and was still really happy with it. So I was quite surprised and confused when you said, and the winner is Dan. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, right. But yeah, really happy with that.
Surprise.
Yeah,
should be.
really good day of gaming. Three lovely games, 3 great scenarios, 3 beautiful tables. And as you said, the hobby standard of everyone there was just, every time we do one of these danger closes, it seems like the hobby standard goes up and up.
Yeah.
I quite like that Scourge paint scheme as well, the ghostly sort of one that was just up on the screen there.
With the heavy behemoth.
A bit unusual. Yeah, it's a very unusual colour scheme for Scourge, but I quite like that one.
Yeah, there were some very creative colour schemes. Yeah, I mean, Jake's Sheltari. I've not seen them in that really deep red before. They took best painted. They took the people's vote for best painted. Can I? Okay, I'm going to see if I can. No, I can't pause this. Never mind. Judge's choice went to the Army C there, as said. Howl's Resistance. absolutely fantastic. Both armies really nice, and loads of really good details up close. That monstrosity won best model. It
Monstrosity.
it got more votes than the rest put together. There were a few dotted around, and yeah, there were some contenders, but yes, the propaganda engine or whatever it's called, or the people's voice. I think Morgan's named it. Decisively took best model.
Jigs.
Yeah, there we go. You can see he's given lots of his walkers additional legs. We said they got a really powerful balloon, and again those energy effects as well. So yeah, really good day, I think. Lovely group of players. While it was a lot of work to both run an event and play in it, it was as easy as it could have been. Like, I wasn't asked difficult questions. People mostly self-managed. I don't know, Dan or Lars, did you get any rules questions at all?
A couple, but not really.
Yeah. People seemed fairly confident in general and willing to find the answer if they needed to.
Mhm.
It seems like the scenarios went down quite well as well.
Yeah, I think previous incarnations, there's been kind of one scenario here or there that's just been a bit overcomplicated or just had something that hasn't quite worked. Whereas, all the games I played and all the games I heard about, it seemed like the scenarios
Just
were
worked.
enough to be funky and challenging, but also straightforward enough that they worked well in that sort of setting.
Mm.
Yeah, I certainly didn't hear any complaints about the scenarios.
I mean, that's the point for you, Gareth. Going from, you had literally one game of regular vanilla drop zone, and then
Yeah.
you're thrown into our nonsense. How did you find the scenarios?
I really didn't find them too bad, actually. I mean, it helped that you had the sort of the pack 2 days in advance of.
Yeah.
And it also helped that, I was on a train for 3 hours, so I read that inside and out. So I was probably as prepared as I could have been.
Right.
But the missions are fairly clear and concise rules. There's nothing, your use of language, everything is really crystal clear. There's a couple in there that I'd quite like to have a stab at. I really like the one with the escape pods, the 3 escape pods.
Yeah, I was quite happy with that one.
And the one with the orphanage, I would quite like to go with that as well.
The one that had a special rule literally called "Think of the children" in all capital letters.
Yeah, pulling orphans out of a burning building.
Yes, for various reasons. If you're doing it as the UCM or the Resistance, it's probably good above board reasons. Doing it as the Scourge, not so much. But either way,
no, not so much. No.
Well,
we're going to pull you out of there and feed you this little black sphere.
Yes.
How do you fancy that?
Well, we have basically all the terrain, so whenever you guys are ready, want to play some games, we can film them and we can run basically any scenario.
Book our way through the whole pack. Yeah.
Do that, actually, yeah. We definitely need to have a game between you, Lars, and Dan. Because you both went 3-0, both had the same strength of schedule.
Mm.
But yeah, I think it went down well. I've sent around some feedback, and I've had most people said the scenarios were quite good. I think a couple of people said the fauna scenario was maybe a little bit too fiddly, so a bit more refinement there might be necessary. But I think it's close. It's definitely the best we've done so far.
Yeah,
and this was the best event that we've had so far by a significant margin. Yeah, I've definitely enjoyed running it. I do think next time I probably do need to just run the event and probably not play because it was probably trying to do too many things at once. But it worked out in the end, and everyone had fun.
Absolutely. I think it's the first one you've done using New Recruit, and I think that worked well for the kind of fairly formed draws going up between rounds.
Yes, yeah. In the past, we've had this horrific Frankenstein's monster of a spreadsheet that crumbles under its own weight. Whereas here, New Recruit. Obviously, you can make your lists on New Recruit now. Other Alex and I have put all of Dropzone on that, and then that got incorporated into the tournament system or tournament side of New Recruit as well. Showed everyone their pairing, showed everyone their placements, let you report the scores yourself. And there's more it can do as well. I didn't fully utilize all of the calculations it can do behind the scenes. So yeah, really, really nice little app. I think Gareth, you said you're going to use New Recruit for weapons free.
That's my general plan. Yeah, so I might need to pick your brains about that
Yeah.
before too long. But yeah, generally planning to run everything through that.
Yeah, it definitely made things smoother. And
Yeah.
people had time to go over their lists and their opponents before the game.
Yeah, nice bit of kit.
Yeah, I know we're pushed for time, but how did you find playing two lists or having two lists?
I didn't use one of them, so
You just use one list.
yeah, I basically put my behemoth on the table and decided that it wasn't going anywhere. Yeah, but for me as a relatively inexperienced player with this as well, completely inexperienced really, the idea of bringing two lists appealed to me particularly because I know if I put a list on the table and it got absolutely trousered, then at least I've got another crack of the whip and I'm not stuck with it all day.
Sure. Dan, Loz, as more seasoned Dropzone players?
So I think it let us bring two quite different lists, and it kind of maybe encouraged the skew a little bit more.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think it allows you to tailor more to a mission. So an infantry mission, infantry list, ground mission, ground list kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is that
I'm not sure if that's a pro or a con, but
Yeah.
it's a feature.
It allows you to bring more toys out, which is nice.
Yeah. It definitely allows you to bring more toys. I've had some feedback, people saying it quite obviously it benefits people with deeper collections more.
Yeah.
And there were definitely quite a few games where people with two lists were going up against someone with one list, and then some of them would do the sporting thing. I think one of you said you basically said to your opponent,
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
pick, you choose which one you want to play. I didn't in my first game. I picked the list that I thought counted his list the best, and realised afterward that's probably a bit unfair of me, actually. Not unfair. It was within what tournament allowed you to do, but again, it obviously benefits someone with a deeper collection far more than a newer player. So I don't know. It might stick with it. It might not. Might try the next one, going back to one list. See how that goes.
That'll change my my list building somewhat that I've been messing around with.
And I guess the other change is we went up to 1850 points. All the previous ones, I believe, certainly all Danger Close events have been 1750. Did you feel like 1850 felt dramatically different? Did it have any real impact? Was it preferable? Worse?
I think it's better. It allows you to bring maybe one or two more units. I don't think it really changes the game or length of the matches, but it's nice to bring one more unit of firstborn.
I mean, it had less impact than I thought it would, so I was a bit pessimistic about it, but I was proved wrong, so I think that worked nicely. I think I still like the slightly more frugal list building with 1750, where you don't quite have enough points to go around, and it forces you to make some tougher choices.
Okay.
I've got no real sort of comparison point, but I think all three of the games I played went the full distance, so it didn't feel like you were pushed for time or anything at that points range.
Yeah. Okay. Food for thought. Yeah, I definitely get what you mean, that if you play 1750, there's always going to be some compromise you're making. 1850, it's not necessarily the case, or if it is the case, it's because you've decided to bring a behemoth or two behemoths.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, I don't think it's really doable at 1750. You can probably...
It's not really doable at 1850.
No? Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. It was very nice seeing lots of behemoths on the board. I don't know how people without them felt, and whether they felt like, oh god, there's nothing I can do about this, everyone's got one, or if they felt like they could take them.
I think newer players were maybe struggling
Yeah.
It's a heavy behemoth with no tools to fight one as a. But yeah.
So, yeah. Food for thought. Might go back to 1750. Might go back to one list. Which again, professional segue. I'm very good at this. You can see. Leads me on to the next Danger Close. So we've got a provisional date of. Talk amongst yourselves.
Please hold caller.
The
Cue elevator music.
the 18th and or 19th of October this year. I say and or in that we may be doing a 2-day event. I need to flesh out the ideas and discuss it with these guys off the call and figure out what we want to do, but it's a possibility. If there's enough demand, I'd certainly be interested in trying a 2-day event. But yeah, that's the provisional date. So if you're watching this, stick the 18th and 19th of October in your calendar. It'll again, of course, be at Firestorm Games, and hopefully even bigger and better than this one.
Hope so. I mean, the events have grown steadily each time you've run them. They've got bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Just need to paint more scenery.
Well, if you start now, it won't be too bad.
So, Loz, as an official channel member, it's time I explained your responsibilities.
Oh, okay.
I've got this huge stash of MDF terrain.
Who gave you that?
You did. You know you did.
Oh, mistake.
It's fine. I don't mind. Anyway, I've got the Carnival terrain to do, so what's a few more buildings at the same time? It is nice, again, because we've built this community pretty much from the ground up, I think. Again, a couple of years ago, it was pretty much just Dan, Loz, and me, and a handful of others. Then we introduced a few more in Bristol to it, and then it grew from there. A few people came from a bit further afield. Got a few people in Swansea. Now we've adopted Gareth and dragged him into our ranks, and yeah, keep growing from there. Lots of people are willing to help with terrain, help with boards, help with writing scenarios. So yeah. Hopefully next one.
I think I've got one or two players looking for a few demo games now as well.
Nice. Good.
Doing a little escalation league between three of us. So yeah, a couple more recruits next time, hopefully.
Excellent. And then eventually, hopefully, there'll be 3rd edition. And whatever that brings. I mean, if Drop Fleet is anything to go by, Weapons Free went from, was it 12 players to 40? From one event to another?
12 to 47.
12 to 47, right?
Yeah, it was a significant jump, but I mean, yeah, that was aided a tad by a brand new edition coming out, and also, Dave being there.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm not sure we'll hit the same dizzying heights next time, but it'd be nice to get there.
Yeah. Speaking of, quick thing while we're here, because I think when we recorded the last one, it was still in progress. There is now a ticket link for Weapons Free UK Games Expo, isn't there?
Yeah, Weapons Free 5 will be at UK Games Expo. There are 32 places. I think at time of recording, there are 27 places still remaining. So I think there's 5 tickets been bought up, but they've probably been on for a week, maybe just over.
Nice.
Yeah, maybe. And I've got the event pack. I haven't got anywhere to attach it on the UK Games Expo site, so I'm kind of adopting that if you don't have it, I can email it. Otherwise, I've left it in the Discord channel, and I've tagged it at the top there.
I mean, we could put it in we could put it on the Google Drive, but a link to it in the description.
Lovely, no worries.
And a link to the ticket page as well. What's the date for it? You know, off the top of your head?
That is going to be. Hang on, it's going to be the 31 or 30 days in May.
31.
It's the last day in May.
Okay.
It's the Friday of the
31,
next program.
It is the Friday.
Friday the 30th.
Yeah, Friday the 30th. It is 9 till 9, more or less. But I mean, we'll be playing for that amount of time. That's also baking in things like registration and packing up.
Yeah,
And we've left plenty of sort of gaps for breaks so you can have a little look around so you're not sort of anchored to a table throwing dice all day.
Nice. Yeah, should be a good time. And then there's the Weapons Free Reconquest in September.
6th of September.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do need to pick up the Reconquest campaign again because while I've been away on training, I haven't been able to sort of keep that up. So I am fully aware that that probably hasn't had an update for about a month, which I do apologise for. But I will probably do one big sweeping update tail end of this week and get that started again.
Nice.
I know there's been games recorded and logged, so it's just a case of me actually sort of doing the admin side of that and putting it all back together.
Cool. Right. I think that is basically all news covered. We will obviously have more of these podcasts going up. I think, as we said when Gareth and I started it, they're going to be infrequent when there's something to talk about. Unfortunately, Gareth's been away training, and I've been busy with work as well, so we've not been able to record one for a while, but we need to dissect the Dropzone balance pass. I really want to go through that and some of the, I think, pretty significant changes in there. We've obviously got the Strike Team and Battlezone Kickstarter to talk about, so it'd be good to run through that and confess to the amount of money that we spent, maybe.
Not on camera, I won't.
Okay, fair enough. We'll allude to what we may or may not, for legal reasons, have purchased. So yeah, we'll get that up at some point. That'll be whichever of us are available to film that. And then, of course, we'll be putting these three through their paces in some games. So I'll get some Dropzone games up, get some Drop Fleet games up. I'm really keen to film some Carnival, especially now Dan's got his gang ready to go, or enough of it to play a game at least. Loz, you're working on your fish.
Yep, busy painting away.
Yeah, so lots more TT Combat games coming soon. I think
Perfecto.
that covers everything. Anything else you guys want to add? Nope.
No, don't think so.
Cool. Then it's goodbye from me, Alex.
Goodbye from me, Dan.
Bye from
Goodbye,
Gareth.
Goodbye from me, Lawrence. Bye.
Goodbye, guys.
Do the waving bit this time because I always forget to
There
do
we
it.
go.